The shoebox. My name is Talia, and I still remember the exact words my cousin whispered at my housewarming. It's like a shoebox with a kitchen. You really settled, huh? She meant it as a joke, but it burned hotter than anything I'd felt in years. It was the first home I had ever owned, a 425 square foot apartment on the rougher side of town. No elevator, peeing paint in the hallway, a toilet that whined after every flush, but it was mine. Mine, after years of sleeping on a pull-out couch in my aunt's living room, being the family errand girl while my cousins went on beach trips and brunches. I bought the tiny apartment with tips from waitressing, freelance design gigs, and skipped meals, while the rest of my family mocked my hustle. And I took it, all of it, the side eyes, the whispers, the fake laughter, because I had something they didn't, freedom. Before I go any further, tell me where you're watching from. And if you've ever had your dreams mocked, hit that like button and subscribe. You're not alone. Growing up in other people's homes. I grew up bouncing between relatives. My mom passed away when I was 8, a car crash on her way home from a double shift. My dad couldn't handle it, emotionally or financially. So I was passed around like an old sweater, a few years with Aunt Carol, a couple more with my grandmother, one awkward year with Uncle Jamal, who thought frozen pizza was a food group. Everywhere I stayed I was grateful, but also invisible. My cousins got bedrooms, I got couches. They got allowances, I got to-do lists. They got to be kids, I became the mature one. No one said it out loud, but I knew what I was, a burden that smiled too much. The hustle years. At 16, I started working at a diner. I was that kid, taking night classes, working weekends, and still somehow showing up to babysit my cousin's twins for free every Thursday night. They laughed at me when I brought my own lunch to family gatherings. When I turned down party invites because I had a double shift. When I showed up in thrift store heels and clearance rack dresses. She's always grinding. For what, though? Sis needs to relax. Can't wait to see her burn out. But I had a goal, my own place before 30. No more crashing on couches. No more asking permission to heat leftovers. Just a door that locked, a roof that didn't leak, and peace. The day I got the keys. I closed on the apartment at 27 years old. The real estate agent looked at me like I was a miracle. Most people your age aren't buying, especially not in cash. I didn't tell him how I got the money. $5 here, $10 there. Sketching logos at night. Selling handmade phone cases online. Eating ramen for weeks at a time. When I stepped into that dusty, tiny beige-walled apartment, I cried. Not because it was beautiful. Because it was mine. The housewarming that changed everything. I invited everyone. Aunt Carol, Grandma, my cousins. Even Uncle Jamal with his frozen pizza. They came with cheap wine and fake smiles. They walked in, looked around, and tried to hide their amusement. It's cute. Oh wow, is that the kitchen and the living room? Girl, where's your closet? I smiled. I served snacks on my foldable IKEA table. I laughed when they laughed. But inside, I promised myself one thing. You will remember this day. And one day they will too. Because I saw it in their eyes, they thought I had lost. But the game had only just started. The shift. 6 months after I moved into my apartment, I lost my job. The upscale restaurant where I waitressed shut down overnight, COVID fallout. No warning, no severance, just a sign on the door. Permanently closed. We're sorry. I stood there in my black zip-resistant shoes, holding a travel mug of lukewarm coffee, watching my old life end like a scene from someone else's movie. Most of my co-workers panicked. I didn't. I'd been surviving for years, and survival teaches you how to pivot. The birth of Talia Designs. I'd always had a knack for digital art. During sleepless nights after my mom's death, I'd sketch for hours. I even designed birthday flyers, wedding invites, and logos for friends, often unpaid. That changed. I spent the next 3 weeks learning everything I could about freelancing. Fiverr, Upwork, Etsy, Redbubble. I created online stores, crafted branding kits, and started offering design services for small businesses. My first paid order was a $7 logo for a dog grooming shop in Idaho. It took me 4 hours. I cried after submitting it, not from exhaustion, but because someone finally paid me for what I loved. Within a year, I had clients across the country. By year 2, I hired a virtual assistant. By year 3, I was making more in 1 month than I used to in a year. The money shift and family reactions. I didn't buy a Lamborghini. I didn't move out of my shoebox apartment. But I did upgrade, new paint, modern furniture, and I added a second monitor to my work desk like a real tech girl. That's when the texts started rolling in. Cousin Jenna. Hey girl, I heard you're doing some online biz stuff. Can you help me launch my skincare line? Uncle Jamal. I've got this app idea, we should partner up. Aunt Carol. Could you lend me a couple thousand just until my tax refund hits? It was funny, really. The same people who laughed at me for buying a tiny apartment were now pitching dreams they hadn't even started building, hoping I'd foot the bill. The family trip that changed everything. Then came the group chat invite. Family trip to Cancun, let's go. Airfare, $850. Hotel, already booked. Villager share, $1,100 each. Except, I hadn't been invited. My name wasn't in the chat. But I saw it, because Cousin Jenna accidentally sent a screenshot to me instead of Aunt Carol. In the chat, someone had written, Talia probably can't afford it anyway. Her little shoebox probably eats all her income. I stared at the screen. My hand shook, not with sadness, but with clarity. They had written me off again, and this time, they would regret it. The opportunity of a lifetime. 2 months later, Netflix contacted me. A creative director had stumbled across one of my TikTok time-lapse videos, a logo I built for a mental health startup. They wanted branding help for an upcoming indie documentary series. It was a $25,000 contract, and it put me on the map. From there, the momentum exploded. Branding for tech startups. Online courses on Skillshare. Speaking gigs on Rags to Riches panels. A feature in Forbes Women. By the time I turned 31, I was a certified millionaire, 7 figures in my bank account, clean, earned, and taxed. And I still lived in the same apartment. Because I wasn't building for flash, I was building for freedom. The dinner invitation. Aunt Carol invited me to dinner last Thanksgiving. I hadn't seen her in over a year. I arrived in a sleek black turtleneck and jeans. My hair was straightened, makeup light. I brought a bottle of wine, $80 from a vineyard I helped brand. They greeted me like I was royalty. Talia, honey, you look so good. You've always been the smart one. Tell us all about your business. But I saw it, the desperation behind the flattery. They were circling me now like bees to sugar. And I was done being sweet. No is a complete sentence. The wine glass in my hand trembled, not from nerves, but from the quiet realization that this was the first family dinner where everyone wanted something from me. Cousin Jenna casually dropped her fork. Oh, Talia, I've been thinking, you know how you do those cute business videos. Maybe you could help me launch my lip gloss line? Uncle Jamal leaned back in his chair. You know, I've been thinking about getting into crypto. You probably have connections, right? Mom, seated across from me with a stiff smile, tried to soften the moment. They're just excited about your success, baby. I sipped my wine slowly, the bitterness lingering on my tongue. They weren't excited. They were opportunistic, and I wasn't playing along anymore. The conversation that changed everything. I set down my fork, folded my napkin, and said, I'm happy you all are proud of me, but I'm not an ATM. I didn't get here by handouts, and I won't be giving them out either. Silence. Even the clinking of silverware paused. Aunt Carol blinked, lips parted. But honey, we're family. Exactly, I said. And for 27 years, I was the forgotten one, not invited to vacations, birthdays, celebrations, but now that I'm successful, suddenly I'm worth texting. Cousin Jenna scoffed. That's not fair. Fair. I ate instant noodles for months, while you all posted pictures from Santorini. You laughed at my apartment, but it paid for my business. That shoebox funded my freedom. Dad cleared his throat, uncomfortable. Maybe we could just... No, I said firmly. Not tonight. Not ever again. And with that, I picked up my bag, kissed my mother on the cheek and walked out. It was the last time I attended a family dinner. The boundaries I built after that night. I made a promise to myself, Talia comes first. And that meant clear, unapologetic boundaries. Blocked all freeloading relatives from business communications. Changed my number, only mom and 2 cousins got the new one. Hired a lawyer to protect my brand, no more, can you just help me with one quick design? Created an internal referral policy, if family wanted help, they could apply through the official process like everyone else. Full price, no discounts. And the biggest move. I invested in a new apartment, still minimalist, still small, but in the heart of downtown, overlooking the skyline. Because success wasn't about escaping my past, it was about owning my present. The twist no one saw coming. A year later, I saw the same Cancun group trip in a new group chat. This time, I was invited. Jenna sent a glittery Canva flyer in the family group. Let's celebrate Talia's success together. Cancun 2025, she deserves it. They even suggested I do a branding workshop on the beach. I didn't reply. I didn't decline. I booked my own trip to Iceland instead. While they drank cheap cocktails in a resort, I stood at the edge of the world, wrapped in a parka, watching the northern lights paint the sky with magic. I laughed into the frozen wind. They finally saw my value, but it was too late. A letter from someone who did matter. 3 months after Iceland, I got a letter in the mail. No return address, just a smudge stamp. Inside was a handwritten note from my high school art teacher, Mrs. Reyes. Talia, I saw your name in Forbes. I still have your first logo project hanging in my classroom. I always knew you'd shine, just had to wait for the world to catch up. Keep going. Mrs. R. I sat in silence for a long time after reading it. That note meant more than every text my relatives had ever sent combined. A quiet kind of joy. I stopped chasing approval. Stopped explaining my choices. Stopped performing for people who never saw me, not really. Now I teach free online workshops for underprivileged youth. Help single mothers build side hustles. Mentor teen girls who remind me of me. Quiet, underestimated, powerful. My apartment, still tiny, still perfect. My freedom, boundless. The family. They still send me invites. I still don't attend. Legacy doesn't always come from blood. It's strange how healing doesn't always look like closure. Sometimes it looks like a quiet Sunday morning. Coffee. A journal. No notifications. 3 years after the night I walked out of that family dinner, I woke up in my now slightly bigger apartment, still minimalist, still humble, and realized I was finally at peace. Not because everything was perfect, but because I stopped expecting apologies from people who didn't think they owed me one. Building something bigger than me. My branding agency, Studio Sage, had grown to 12 employees. What started from a used laptop and a vision inside a studio apartment had turned into a multi-million-dollar creative powerhouse, serving clients globally. But that wasn't what fulfilled me the most. It was the emails I got from strangers. Your story helped me leave my toxic job. I finally started the bakery I dreamed about. My family still doesn't believe in me, but now I do. It hit me. I became the person I needed when I was 23. So I created the Shoebox Grant, a small fund to help women entrepreneurs with microloans, no strings attached. Within a year, we funded 147 businesses. One of them, a candle-making business in Atlanta run by a woman who used to be homeless. Her first online order came the day we posted her brand design. She messaged me in all caps. "Someone just bought my Lavender Dreams candle. I'm crying." So was I. Rand Pushpin, the family still watches, from a distance. Every now and then, I still see their names. Cousin Jenna left a comment on one of my Instagram reels. "So proud of you, cuz." Aunt Carol shared my Forbes article with a caption that read, "Blood makes you related, but love makes you family. We always knew she'd rise." No, they didn't, but I let them have it. Because my success doesn't need their approval. They still vacation together, still throw birthday parties I'm not invited to. And I don't mind. I have new circles now. Built on respect, not guilt. Celebration, not comparison. The real family I found. Once, I thought being left out meant being unlovable. Now I know better. Family is the woman who watched my YouTube series every week while healing from chemo and emailed me, "You made me feel alive again." Family is the intern I mentored who now runs her own agency in Brazil and messages me, "Your advice saved my life." Family is Mrs. Ray's, who still sends me Christmas cards with hand-painted snowflakes. Family is me, showing up for myself even when no one else did. The surprise that brought me full circle. Last month, I was invited to speak at a global entrepreneurship summit in Paris. As I walked off stage, still buzzing from the standing ovation, I spotted a familiar figure backstage. Mum. Her hair was shorter, her eyes softer. We hadn't spoken in almost a year. She pulled me into a hug. Not dramatic, not performative. Just a long, silent hug that said more than words ever could. "Your father and I watched online," she said. "We saw the Candle Woman's story. We understand now. We're sorry." I didn't say anything. Just nodded. Forgiveness didn't need to be announced. It just needed to be chosen. A new place called home. 6 months later, I bought a cabin in the mountains. Not a mansion, not a symbol, just peace. Every morning, I wake up to birdsong and soft light filtering through pine trees. There's a reading nook. A painting corner. A garden where I grow lavender. Sometimes I host retreats, teaching creative women how to turn their ideas into independence. Sometimes I just sit on the porch, sipping tea, writing letters to myself from the past. The final message. To the girl sitting alone in a Shoebox apartment, crying while her family posts beach selfies. They will not understand you until it benefits them. You are not broken, they are simply limited. Keep going. Because one day, they will say, "We always believed in you." And you'll smile, not because it's true, but because you don't need them to anymore.